When photography is delivering the moments of truth, it's almost magical. The medium has the power to literally change lives and transform perceptions of society. At its best, photography is storytelling without words, inspiration without speeches. It's an art form that has evolved from a tintype and glass plate to the universal daily capture and sharing of life moments in the palm of our hands. The artists with cameras represent a variety of perspectives, from a moment that epitomized the ending of a world war to the visual documentation of resistance. Photography that transformed fashion photography into fine art, from style to symbolic imaginings. This work represents innovation, grace, transcendence, singular vision, and uninhibited love for humanity. It shows humans at our most intense, and they are captured moments that matter. The power of photography is in its transportation and in storytelling, a visual narrative that speaks to us in a way we can think about, react to, and contemplate. Tonight we embrace the transformative effect of great art. These artists are being recognized for more than their work. They're being celebrated for making us open our eyes to the world they have captured and shared with all of us. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Emerson International Photography Hall of Fame Induction and Awards Ceremony, presented by Collins and Herman. My name's Art Holliday, and I'm thrilled to be your host this evening. In addition to presenting the 2020 Hall of Fame class, tonight we are also celebrating the 55th anniversary of the founding of the International Photography Hall of Fame and Museum located in St. Louis, Missouri. Tonight's celebration is made possible by the generosity of our title sponsor, Emerson, our presenting sponsor, Collins and Herman, our dinner sponsor, Thompson Street Capital Partners, and many additional companies and individuals that you can find in your program or online tonight. We greatly appreciate their support. And to you viewing around the world, throughout the evening you see scrolling info on how you can make a gift to IPHF and help continue its important mission. At the end of the program, legendary auctioneer Fletcher Lane will join us for a traditional Fund a Need exercise and auction some amazing photographs from our Hall of Fame honorees, supporting the mission of the Hall of Fame to educate, collect, exhibit, preserve images, and honor significant contributors to the art and science of photographic imaging. You can go to IPHF.org to view the prints and place a bid. Thank you in advance for your generosity. As you know, this year's event is a bit different. The COVID-19 pandemic presented many new challenges to the staff and volunteers, but not surprisingly, they rose to the task, creating the program we're watching right now. That effort was led by event co-chairs Dick Miles and Pat Whitaker. Dick is also the chair of the IPHF Board of Directors. Please welcome Dick and Pat.
Thanks, Art, and thanks to all of you for joining us tonight. Pat and I are honored to serve as event co-chairs. In addition to celebrating our honorees, we want to add our congratulations to IPHF on its 55th birthday. A special thanks to the Professional Photographers of America for having the wisdom and vision to create a home for the best of the best and to celebrate and promote the history, the art, and the science of the most ubiquitous art form on earth, photography.
And we want to thank the wonderful committee of community and civic leaders who helped us get to tonight, especially our honorary co-chairs Susan Sherman and Donald Suggs. We know you all understand why we are not doing this in person tonight. However, we will guarantee that you're in for a lovely virtual event. You'll be meeting our fabulous photographers and honorees and getting a bird's eye view of their beautiful, diverse work. So thanks so much for joining us.
Finally, as IPHF Board Chair, I want to thank our tireless President and CEO, Patty Wente, and her team, and also our Board of Directors, an engaged and invested group, working with us every step of the way. Thanks again for being with us tonight. Now sit back, relax, enjoy the show, be as generous as you can, And be careful on your way home. Don't trip over anything.
Thanks, Dick and Pat, for your steady leadership this year, the year of the COVID. The IPHF Hall of Fame honors those who have made major contributions to the field of photography. That's one of the central charges of our mission. And we take that charge very seriously, especially since we're the only International Photography Hall of Fame in the world. The IPHF Hall of Fame includes, as Dick said, the best of the best. Only 101 members, soon to be 110. The most talented, most visionary, and most creative and innovative photographers, inventors, and organizations. The unenviable task of choosing who is worthy of being a Hall of Famer is assigned to a committee of the Board of Directors. Congratulations to the committee and its chair, Bob Bishop, for submitting another stellar class of inductees. By the way, as you will soon see, each Hall of Fame inductee is awarded a beautiful and unique medallion designed and created by St. Louis's Adam Foster Fine Jewelry. The solid bronze camera lens is a work of art in its own right. And now we proudly recognize the 2020 inductees. The first inductee to the 2020 class of award winners is Robert Adams. Here to tell you more about Robert is Hall of Famer Steve McCurry.
This year, I'm pleased to introduce Robert Adams, who is being inducted to the class of 2020. Robert Adams' photography has documented the damage to the American West and has captured both reasons to despair and to hope. The goal is to face facts, but also to find a basis for hope. His books have examined the dialogue between humanity's imprint and nature's resilience in the landscape of the American West. Sometimes he directly engages civic and political issues as well, most notably in his book, Our Lives and Our Children, which pictures individuals who have lived at risk downwind from the Rocky Flats nuclear weapons plant. Adams has continued to call attention to clear cutting, to deforestation, but also has balanced this with celebrations of living trees and the sea. His efforts continue to be, as he has said, to find redeeming metaphor in art. In 2014, Adams was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Letters, and a retrospective of his work is planned at the National Gallery of Art in Washington in 2021. Congratulations to Robert Adams, and welcome to the International Photography Hall of Fame.
Thank you a lot for the honor you've done my work and for thinking about it in company with the work of other serious photographers. Few photographers actually set out with fame as a goal. It's so extremely unlikely, but I think everybody who does this is grateful for respect, and that's what you've honored me with. That I began partly because the machinery seemed elegant. One of my first cameras was a Sinar view camera, but I think the real reason we continue is the subject. What is in front of the camera is what sustains one, I think, over months and years. I've been at it for almost 60 years. It's about something. And in that way, which in the past, 7,500 years, has often been dominated by the power of the wealthy operating in hand in glove with interior decorators. On the one hand, it's the astonishing beauty of the American West as it was given to us, and as it sometimes remains. And on the other hand, it's the subject is the damage that we have done to it by overpopulation and by our fervent embrace of the religion of capitalism, which confuses freedom and license. So with that as my subject, I thank you for having the courage to single it out at this particular moment in our history. It means you've got the backbone to stand up and, in my view, embrace some humane values. So thank you very much. And in parting, I will remind you, don't forget Pete Seeger's bumper sticker. Seeger claimed to have seen this bumper sticker, but I actually think he invented it. The bumper sticker read, "There is no hope, but I may be wrong." So be well, take care, and courage.
Lynsey Addario has captured audiences with her disarming and compelling photographs, personalizing even the most remote corners of our world. To introduce Lynsey is Kira Pollack, Creative Director for Vanity Fair.
Thank you, Art. There has never been a more vital time for journalism than now, and photographers are our eyewitness to this moment. Lynsey Addario is one of the most important photojournalists of our generation. In 2007, when I was a photo editor at the New York Times Magazine, Lynsey was on assignment for us along with the reporter Elizabeth Rubin. Both were embedded with the military in the Korangal Valley. The Korangal was a Taliban stronghold and one of the most dangerous regions in Afghanistan. At that time, women in the US military were not permitted to fight on the front lines, yet Lynsey and Elizabeth knew that this rule did not apply to female journalists. Over 2 months, they slept in bunkers in freezing weather and were under fire daily. Lynsey patrolled with the troops in extraordinary conditions and documented soldiers' day-by-day experiences on the front lines under constant threat. On one unforgettable day, the Taliban ambushed the patrol she was on. 3 soldiers were shot and 1 was killed. It was the first honest and real view of war she ever had. Throughout her career, Lynsey has been our witness to so many front lines. She has made exceptional pictures and taken tremendous risks. In 2011, while covering the Arab Spring, on the front lines of the Libyan revolution, she was held hostage along with 3 other New York Times journalists for a week. She was tied up, blindfolded, groped, threatened with execution, shuttled around the front lines, and finally released to the US government. It was unusual for Lynsey to become the story herself, but this didn't keep her away from going back to work. Lynsey does not like anyone to dwell on the fact that she is a female photojournalist. However, she has used gender to her advantage to tell stories about women that could never be told by men. When I was the photo director at Time magazine, Lynsey worked on a phenomenal project called Finding Home, in which she was part of a reporting team that identified multiple Syrian refugee women who were about to give birth. She documented the birth of the babies and followed the mothers through the first year of the baby's life as the families traveled and eventually relocated to different European countries. It was a profound way to tell the story. Time and time again, Lynsey has focused our attention on women's issues and women's health around the world. One of her most powerful bodies of work, in fact, centers on maternal mortality in many regions. To say that Lynsey's work is influential is not enough. Her work is infinitely more powerful than that. When the pharmaceutical company Merck first saw her maternal mortality work, they invested $500 million. Lynsey has been honored with many awards throughout her career, most notably the prestigious MacArthur Genius Grant. She was part of a New York Times Pulitzer Prize winning team. She has received 3 honorary doctorate degrees and has 2 books, Of Love and War and a memoir, It's What I Do. Lynsey is a true barrier breaker in her own right and has grown to become a beacon in photojournalism. It is a huge privilege to be her sometimes editor and all the time friend, and it is an honor to introduce her here tonight.
It is such an incredible honor to be inducted into the 2020 Hall of Fame. This is my medal, and it's very, very heavy. I'm going to put it around my neck, and I don't know if that translates, but it's really heavy. Okay, so I never imagined I would see my name sandwiched between Ansel Adams and Diane Arbus, 2 great visual inspirations for me from a young age when I was just experimenting with photography. So thank you to the International Photography Hall of Fame, to the staff, the board, everyone involved in bringing me into the fold. It's really an incredible honor. And particularly at this point in history, 2020 has been quite a year for everybody. I wouldn't say a positive year, but it also has highlighted the importance of journalism and the importance of photojournalism with all of the things that we've been through, not only as a nation, but as a world. I think it seems like truth is on trial every single day in the United States. And photojournalism and the importance of it could not be more acute. It couldn't be more important right now. It's something that I never thought I would see in my lifetime. So it really falls on me and on my colleagues. We are really a team, all of us contributing bit by bit to documenting this time in history, but also creating a record of history that we can all look back upon one day, to provide photographs, not only as evidence of current events, but for a record in the future. It's been a really great privilege to work for the most incredible publications like the New York Times, National Geographic, Time, Newsweek. They've really entrusted me over the years to be a storyteller and to bear witness on behalf of millions. And so that is a great responsibility that I don't take lightly, that I am so appreciative every single day to have a job that enables me to travel around the world, meet the most incredible people, to be inspired daily by the people I interview and photograph, and to bring those stories to the world and to the United States, because it's so important to have perspective and to maintain that perspective, especially as the world seems like it's shrunk during coronavirus when we can't really travel. So we really have to rely on photographs to bring us around the world and on journalists in particular places. I really want to thank, first and foremost, my colleagues who have been there from the very beginning, who have inspired me in every way, to my three sisters, who gave me the greatest training ever to be a war photographer by beating me up daily from the time I was born. And lastly, to my husband, who has not only kept me grounded, who has continued to challenge me and to ensure that I am growing as a photographer and as a journalist. So that's it. Thank you to the Hall of Fame once again. And it's really exciting. Here's the medal once again, just in case. And here's my name. Yay! Bye.
The late Alfred Eisenstaedt was born in Poland at the turn of the 20th century. He began his photojournalist career in pre-war Germany and is widely known for more than 90 covers on Life magazine and publishing more than 2,500 photo stories. Hall of Famer Harry Benson will tell us more.
Izzy was a kind of photographer, you couldn't leave him out of anything. No, Izzy was well dressed, always. When he went out doing a job, he was clean and sharp, nice suit. He was a small man, but he never looked small. And he was a good ambassador for the business. His presence, the way he was, demanded the best seat at the table. He was an inspiration. Without him knowing he was inspiring anybody, just by his determination to get a photograph at all costs. Izzy was a great leader without conscious that he was a leader. People used to make an excuse to come up to the Time Life building just to see him, just to even wave to him. But he probably was one of the most competitive photographers I'd come across. And I can say that because I worked in Fleet Street for years, and that was competitive too. Yeah, that's why I thought he'd live forever.
He would have been honored to be in the company of this year's additions to the Hall of Fame, a few of whom he knew. And as an inductee, Izzy is reunited also with many of his friends and colleagues, Gordon Parks, John Loengard, Gene Smith, and of course, Margaret Burke-White. Harry Benson called Izzy a king of his own profession. In fact, late in life, he became quite famous, much of it around one photograph, not necessarily his best, for which he knew he would be remembered. At first, it was just called VJ Day, the picture of an exuberant sailor celebrating war's end and kissing an unsuspecting nurse in Times Square. Now, as the memory of that war fades, it's simply the kiss. He was very well read and totally prepared for every assignment. His short height often placed him in the middle of his subjects. With a wide angle and natural light, he captured their essence. He shot sparingly and always with anticipation. So it was in Times Square, where he spotted the trajectory of the sailor and positioned himself for the inevitable kiss. And so it was in a lifetime's body of work. I'm delighted that I could be here to represent Izzy and witness his induction into the Photography Hall of Fame. With so many friends and colleagues on the roster, I know he would feel right at home. Thank you so very much.
Yasuhiro Wakabashi, known to the world simply as Hiro, is known for his distinctive images in portraiture, still life, children, landscapes, and especially fashion. Here to tell you more about Hiro is Susan Sherman, Induction Committee co-chair.
Known for the originality of his photographs, Hiro's photographic career began at Harper's Bazaar in New York as a fashion, still life, and portrait photographer. Shortly after arriving in America from Japan in 1954, Hiro landed an apprenticeship in Richard Avedon's studio. Avedon soon sent Hiro to legendary art director Alexei Brodovich after he proved too talented not to work independently. And within a few years, Hiro had risen to extraordinary fashion photography heights. Hiro began working under Brodovich in 1956, and in 1963, he became the only photographer under contract at Harper's Bazaar. Hiro's work is characterized by surprises, abnormalities, unusual lighting, surrealism, the unreal, and an astounding and constant vision. Hiro sees beauty in the extraordinary, and this is evident in his great oeuvre of work. Part of Hiro's genius lies in his ability to transform the most mundane objects or delicate features. A toenail, the pupil of an eye, a mouth, or a light switch are seen with the same concentration. Concentration is Hiro's most obvious quality. When he takes the whole theater of fashion to the beach, he returns with a metaphysical contemplation, says Mark Holborn. Hiro's method is punctuated by his preparation and unrelenting precision. His exactitude is not, however, a hindrance to his creativity, nor an unnecessary obsession, but rather the means to his creativity and innovation. Congratulations, Hiro, on this extraordinary achievement.
Hiro is also a compassionate citizen of the world who feels conflicted about being personally celebrated during a time when the world is suffering and has lost so much due to the pandemic. He sends his sincere regrets for not being able to participate in this year's ceremony and offers both his respect and congratulations to his fellow 2020 Hall of Fame inductees. Last year, a documentary film explored artist and photographer Jay Maisel's move from a landmark 72-room former bank building on the Bowery in Lower Manhattan, where he lived for 49 years. His friend and fellow photographer Arthur Meyerson has more.
Every now and then, a photographer comes along and changes not only the way we see, but the way we think about photography. Jay Maisel has been doing this for over 7 decades, influencing an entire generation of photographers, both professional and amateur. Early on, realizing that black and white wasn't giving him what he was experiencing out there in the real world, he transitioned to color. And like that magical moment in the movie, The Wizard of Oz, we were all transported to Jay's color vision of the world. Jay's work, both professional and personal, would always be guided by the 3 elements in photography that interested him most: light, color, and gesture. And that, along with his perceptive wit, charm, and continual childlike sense of curiosity, led him to produce some of the most iconic color photographs ever produced. I remember seeing Jay's work early on in my own photographic journey. They were images used in advertising and editorial magazine features that, to my mind, could have stood alone in galleries or museums. There were moments in time that were taken by a very keen eye, observing the delicate interplay of light and color, of life happening right before us, of an appreciation of beauty in all things, the sign of a true eyewitness to the world. Jay's photographic life consisted of his commercial work, his personal work, and his renowned workshops that were presented around the world, but none more unique than those at his famous 6-story bank building that he occupied for over 50 years. That legendary building and its landlord were captured perfectly in the recent award-winning documentary, Jay Myself. But then there's Jay, the man behind the camera, the husband, the father, the friend, the mentor. To know Jay, or ever have had the opportunity to hear him speak, is something to be relished. Honest, humorous, profane are words that are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to describing him. Add to that his pure New York sensibility, and you're beginning to get the picture. For me, Jay stands front and center on the Mount Rushmore of color photographers. And so I'm honored to add the name Jay Maisel to the esteemed list of members of the International Photography Hall of Fame. Congratulations, my friend, on this most well-deserved honor.
My thanks to the Hall of Fame. Thank you all for being here, although you're probably somewhere else. When I found out about the award, I must admit that I didn't know anything about the Hall of Fame, so I looked it up. I don't do humble well, but I was profoundly humbled to see the photographers I was joining. Those past honored and tonight's inductees are people I have admired and learned from my entire life. I've been asked to touch on a few other subjects here. I could go on for hours, but for the sake of mercy, I only have a few minutes. I want to thank my dad, who said you can do and be anything you want to be if you work at it, and my mom, who said, don't hurt yourself. Leon Friend was my high school teacher, and he echoed my dad and taught me to love work. Everybody at Cooper Union. Joseph Hirsch, with whom I studied painting, Joseph Albers at Yale, with whom I studied color, and Bucky Fuller, also at Yale, who was a great mentor. And the many people who worked for me over the years, particularly Jeffrey Chung, who works with me now, and without whose patience and expertise I would be lost. Most important, my wife Linda, my daughter Amanda, who encourages me, harasses me, put up with me, keeps me on my toes, keeps me happy, and keeps me alive. They ask me for advice to young people just getting into photography. Not everything you do has a reason, but everything you do has consequences. Don't overthink. Trust your intuition. Your photography can make the world a better and more beautiful place. Don't screw it up, and don't hurt yourself.
Duane Michals first attracted critical attention for his unorthodox style in the 1960s and 70s. Hall of Famer Ralph Gibson has more on Michals.
Good evening. I'm Ralph Gibson, and I'm here to present Duane Michals, who is the 2020 inductee for Fine Art Photography. I believe he's massively worthy of this award. He's very well liked, as we all know. And he's always on a very upbeat, our Duane. Now, prior to 1973, Duane had been doing pretty much conventional kind of portraiture. It had some of his look to it, but he really got his stride in 1973 when he brought out that magnificent seminal sequence entitled Things Are Queer. Now, prior to the 70s, photography had what's known as a modernist approach to the medium. It was endorsed by the Museum of Modern Art. Well, Duane comes out with Things Are Queer, which is a trompe-l'oeil Mobius strip for the mind, and just blows the whole thing sky high. He shattered existing definitions of the medium. It became photography's Sistine Chapel at the moment. And throughout his entire career, he has maintained the same degree of exploration and integrity and respect, not only for the medium, but for his own relationship to it. No compromise. Duane shows you what Duane shows you, and it's usually what he's feeling. So it's with great pleasure, sincerity, that I am here tonight to award the 2020 International Photography Hall of Fame Award for photography as a fine art. Nobody deserves it more. Good luck, Duane.
This is it. This is the moment. This is the time I get to say thank you, International Photography Hall of Fame. I'm so thrilled to get an award, and I really want to thank everybody who's put this package together. But I particularly want to thank Robert Frank, my personal hero. Robert Frank is the original. He is the real thing. I went to Russia as a tourist when I was 26. And the trip changed my life because I found out what I should be doing. And you have to remember that life is not a dress rehearsal. This is the trip. You don't get a second time. So if you have any inclinations, make mistakes. You'll learn from your mistakes better than you will from your successes. But it's all sitting there. And if you don't do it, who's going to do it? And that's what I've always done. I never came up through the photo ranks. I learned everything on the job. And I was never defined by photography. But it's been fulfilling. It's been thrilling. It's given me everything. I've been everywhere, done everything. And it was really terrific. And how good can that possibly be? So good luck, everybody. Thanks for the gift. And thanks for everything.
Carrie Mae Weem's work is deeply steeped in African American history. Through her photography and other media, she explores issues of race, class, and gender identity. Here to tell you more about Carrie Mae Weems is Dr. Donald Suggs, the owner and publisher of the St. Louis American, often called the #1 African American newspaper in the United States.
It's a very special honor for me to introduce Carrie Mae Weems because I'm a longtime admirer of her work, much of which is steeped in African American history. She insists on the importance of the work of Black women, both in art and life. Considered one of the most influential contemporary artists, Carrie Mae Weems has investigated family relationships, cultural identity, sexism, class, political systems, and the consequences of power. She sustained an ongoing dialogue around these issues for many years. During this time, she's developed a complex body of work, employing photographs, text, fabric, audio, digital images, installation, and video. Although she does employ a variety of means and addresses an array of issues, she has an overarching commitment to better understanding the presence, and a close examination of history and identity is also found throughout her work. A notion of universality is also present. While African Americans are typically her primary subjects, Weems wants people of color to stand with the human multitudes and for her art to resonate with audiences of all races. New York Times critic Holland Cotter wrote, "Ms. Weems is what she has always been, a superb image maker, focused, irrepressible. When she tackles complex subjects in complex ways, the results are deeply stirring." David Bonnet wrote in Post-Dispatch that Weems is one of the most honored American artists of her generation. Weems asks inconvenient questions and comes up with unwelcome answers. For that reason alone, no contemporary artist's work is more important. Carrie Mae Weems makes us see. And once we truly see, we are transformed and feel obliged, even compelled to act. Congratulations, Ms. Weems, on this well-deserved recognition for your brilliant and beautiful work, for being one of the very best at what you do, and for caring enough to show us who we really are.
It's an extraordinary honor to be considered along with some of the great photographers, great artists of our time, to have my name, to have my father's name mentioned along with some of the great photographers of our time is truly an honor, and I'm deeply grateful. You know, these were sort of extraordinary artists who also didn't really, I think, really talk about their contribution, but their contributions were enormous. And that a part of the way in which we understand the contribution is to the extent that it influences the field, that it broadens and expands the dimension of the way in which we think about the field of photography. I've been deeply influenced, and I do have a sense, however, that, for instance, my kitchen table series has been deeply influential amongst any number of younger photographers and image makers and visual artists. And it's kind of wonderful to sort of see this new work kind of emerging that addresses this work that I made humbly 35 years ago, just trying to figure out my way in the field of photography. You know, what does it mean to be an image maker? What does it mean to be a photographer? And what kind of photographer was I precisely, right? Was I a documentary photographer? Was I a reportage photographer? I wasn't a fashion photographer, that's for sure. You know, a friend of mine used to say, or there is the saying that, you know, a photograph is worth 1,000 words. And my great friend, Fred Lonardier, said, that's absolutely true. But which 1,000 are you speaking of specifically? So photography and contribution and how to make and how to think about image building and image making has been important. And that I knew early on that I absolutely wanted to contribute to the field. A project like Take 6 COVID, the COVID project that I've been working on since the pandemic, which has been very important to me and has really been my anchor during this extraordinary time, the sort of confluence of things from the Black Lives Matter movement to this extraordinary pandemic, to these shifts that are taking place within the environment, right? You know, all of these amazing historic moments that image makers are still grappling with, and we are grateful to photographers and videographers for the images and the material that they bring to us about our world. So of course, receiving this award has been absolutely wonderful. It's beautiful. I can't wait to wear it. It's a little heavy, but it is really quite beautiful. My name is inscribed on the back, and I'm only sorry that my father isn't here to see his child receive this award. And I want to thank Dr. Said so much for the introduction and for recognizing the importance and the value of the work, and for somehow his willingness to introduce me on this auspicious occasion. And I'm only sorry that I can't be there in person to meet you and to thank you and to shake your hand. But I know that we'll be able to do that sometime in the future, because St. Louis is one of my favorite cities.
Before we present our two special awards, I want to remind you about the online print auction and thank those of you who have already donated throughout the program. It's very important and very easy. Follow the link at the bottom of your screen or go to iphf.org/event. This year's recipient of the IPHF Leadership Award is Magnum Photos, an international photographic cooperative owned by its photographer members. Since its founding in Paris in 1947, it has documented most of the world's major events and personalities, covering society, politics, events, and conflict. To tell us more is 2018 Hall of Famer Susan Michaelis.
It is my great pleasure to introduce Olivia Arthur to you, who I am especially proud to say is Magnum's first female president. Olivia and I are 3 decades apart. Part of what makes Magnum special is the multi-generational community we've created with diverse aesthetics and perspectives amongst the 90 photographers who've associated with us over time. As you may know, each year, Magnum has a process that brings in new potential members. Olivia came to our attention when her work was selected in 2007 to receive the Inga Morath Award. To honor Inga's passing, Magnum photographers had decided to award women under 30 with a small grant to continue their promising work. We've now done that for nearly 20 years. We could already see a distinctive eye evolving in Olivia's series, The Middle Distance. We could feel her quiet presence within cultures other than her own, capturing gestures and moments in the landscape of their everyday lives. Her subjective voice has continued to weave through many other projects such as Jeddah Diary and Stranger, both exploring a more fictional space by freely associating images with words threading through them. Olivia's talent is also bringing people together to work collectively and in collaboration, as she did most recently along the US-Mexico border with 15 Magnum photographers. Such projects are generated by the desire to complement and explore, to expand the boundaries of any one photographer's visual language. Organically, Olivia has now evolved to be at the center of our community. As HCB Cartier-Bresson described so well more than 70 years ago, Magnum is a community of thought, a shared human quality, a curiosity about what is going on in the world, a respect for what is going on, and a desire to just transcribe it visually. We're dispersed in the world, each dedicated to our own vision, but still committed to creating an inclusive community to share globally. Thank you for acknowledging Magnum's contribution to the world of photography by honoring us collectively and welcoming Olivia Arthur to speak on our behalf.
I'm extremely honored to accept this award on behalf of Magnum Photos as a representative of the collective and current president. An independent collective of photographers, Magnum combines extraordinary photography with many unique views of the world. Our strength lies in this multiplicity of gazes and in our founders' desire to remain independent. Magnum Photos was founded in 1947 as a response to the physical and psychological devastation of World War II. Its founders, Henri Cartier-Bresson, Robert Capa, David Seymour, and George Rogers, intended to make sense of their new world and help humanity recover from this traumatic experience. This is what Magnum photographers have worked towards over 70 years, to offer a cathartic representation of the world. The cooperative is no different today. History, as told by Magnum, is an idiosyncratic combination of the personal and the universal. Since the 1930s, Magnum members have worked hard to do away with the notion of objectivity. Blurring the lines between documentary and art, they have affirmed that form and subjectivity can often be more truthful and more efficient tools to tell stories. At the heart of Magnum is a desire to transcribe the human experience through collective and individual stories. Magnum is a school of thoughts, blending the power of the image, that of literature, cinema, painting, and all forms of expression. Today, Magnum represents over 90 artists and estates, some of the greatest photographers in history. A living, breathing archive, the unique repository of our common history since the 1930s, Magnum is also a prolific global agency producing and disseminating new content every day through traditional digital channels, attracting millions of viewers worldwide. We work to continue experimenting with the limits and codes of photography, whilst preserving our founders' intellectual and ethical legacy. Magnum has evolved with the history of the medium, and over the years is becoming a more diverse and modern agency. I am proud to be Magnum's first female president, and hope to lead the way for many female photographers in our field. We continually strive to broaden the range of voices that make up the collective, and I'm passionate about helping to make that range wider. I would like to thank all the photographers and staff who have worked over the years at Magnum and have helped us to come such a long way and to continue to exist with our range of members and our independence. I would also like to thank the many editors, curators, organizations, and individuals who have helped to make this happen and who have continued to believe in the strength of our photographers. Thank you to the International Photography Hall of Fame for this award and recognition. And to all the former inductees, including some of our own photographers, I would like to say that it's an honor to follow in your footsteps. Thank you.
This year's Lifetime Achievement Award is presented to Henry Diltz, as much at home as a musician on tour as he is a visual historian of the last 5 decades of popular music. Henry has shot more than 250 album covers and thousands of publicity shots, including the iconic Morrison Hotel cover for The Doors and the 1969 Crosby, Stills and Nash album cover. He's also an accomplished musician who was a founding member of the Modern Folk Quartet. Another Hall of Famer who was also on that Crosby, Stills and Nash album cover is with us tonight. IPHF Hall of Famer Graham Nash will tell us more about Henry.
I first met Henry Diltz in 1966. I was in New York with my band, the Hollies, and I was at a party at the Loving Spoonful apartment with Sebastian and Zali, and Henry took some pictures of me, and we became friends then. He actually shot a great shot of me with Mama Cass. The next time I saw Henry for a professional reason was in early '69 when Crosby, Stills and Nash were making their first album cover. And we needed a cover, of course. And Henry was at the studio that day watching us record. And we said, you know, let's just stop for a second and go walking around and see what we can see. Just take an album cover because we needed one desperately. We started to walk around and we saw on Santa Monica Boulevard in Los Angeles this old house. And the three of us decided that it kind of reflected our music. You know, Levi's, soft music, acoustic, good harmony. And so we took the picture. We got the proofs back the next day and we realized that the one that we really loved, we were sitting in the wrong order. So we decided that we would shoot it again the next day in the correct order of Crosby, Stills and Nash, because we had decided that's what we would call ourselves. So we go back to Santa Monica Boulevard and the house was gone. It had been bulldozed into the back. It was just a pile of lumber. So we had to use the one that we liked with us out of order, which is why a lot of people think that I'm David Crosby, which of course I'm not. Henry is a kind of a cameraman, doesn't use lights, doesn't use a setup. He's a instant, watch the birdie kind of cameraman. He's been doing that all his life. He's taken some incredible shots of the music scene in Los Angeles in the late 60s, early 70s, you know, particularly Mama Cass and the Eagles and Tom Petty and Joni and Neil and me and David. And the best shot he ever took, I think, that I saw was one that he shot of Paul McCartney and his wife Linda that ended up on the cover of Life magazine. And I think you know the shot that I'm talking about. It's very beautiful. Henry is an incredible photographer. He's been doing this all his life. He's basically a musician with a camera, and that's what he has been, and he has made no bones about it. I'm a musician with a camera. My dear friend, Henry Diltz.
Thank you, Graham. I'm Henry here in LA. Hello, everybody. And I am so pleased to have received this wonderful award from the International Photography Hall of Fame. It's such a wonderful thing. It looks kind of like a camera lens. It's very heavy, but I'm so happy to have my photography recognized after all these years of taking photos, some 50 plus years. I often say being a photographer was kind of like having a passport into people's lives, because I would be, you know, hanging out with people that ordinarily I wouldn't be hanging out with. One day, Rolling Stone magazine called me and wanted me to fly right to Palm Springs and photograph Truman Capote. And as I knocked on his door, I thought, this is amazing. I mean, I've read Truman Capote's short stories in college, and here I am. Spent the whole afternoon with him and got the cover for Rolling Stone. I got to the point where people started to know me as a guy who could take pictures. And there was a certain trust there because I was a fellow musician and they didn't see me as a photographer. So it was easy for me to document these people without really seeming like I was a photographer. And I wouldn't really tell them what to do. I would just wait for that moment, like when I used to photograph my friends and try to catch a candid moment where they didn't even realize I was taking a picture. Yeah, I like looking at life through that little square, and you can cut off and frame just what you want to see. And that's the fun of it. It's framing. It's getting it right in there till it really says it. So when it's an object, I mean, you can do that. You can frame it really nicely. When it's people, there's framing and then there's the moment, because you frame it and then you wait and you watch. And right when something happens or it looks perfect, you take the picture. Some of my favorite moments really have to do with music, because I am a musician and I love and appreciate music. And so getting to go on the road with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and Stephen Stills and the Eagles, Went on the road with the Monkees all one summer, the Lovin' Spoonful one summer. You know, being able to just observe all that and hear all that music was great. And so it's not a photo session, it's just life. It's an adventure. That's my passport into their lives. And it's really a lot of fun to hang out. I very seldom do a photo session, you know, where you have an hour, go in and take this person's picture. It's all just life for me. It's the adventure of my life as I see it, as I live it. All this body of photography, all these pictures that I've taken, really, it was really for me. It was really my life. It was stuff that I saw. And I mean, just lucky enough that all these people I photographed became famous. And so people wanted to see the pictures that I took of them. That was, you can't really plan that. That just happens. We're all here to learn. We all know that. So therefore, we're all students. But you should think of yourself as the only student, and everybody else is your teacher. And if you keep that in mind, the day is very interesting. Everybody you come across, you can learn something from. And it's a way of, you know, embracing life and embracing your fellow man.
Thank you all, and congratulations to the International Photography Hall of Fame Class of 2020 inductees. This has been an extraordinary evening with the greatest photographers in the world recognized for their remarkable work. And they now are part of a larger society of excellence, the IPHF Hall of Fame. We are so glad you've been able to join us this evening, and we want to ask you to stay with us for a few more minutes to help make more evenings like this possible, to help IPHF continue the important work of its mission. Fletcher Lane has been a professional benefit auctioneer for almost 30 years, and tonight he's going to help IPHF reach its ambitious goals. There are a couple of ways to give.
Thank you again, Art, and welcome to the Emerson Hall of Fame induction and award ceremony and 55th anniversary celebration presented by Collins and Herman. I think you will all agree that the 2020 inductees are all deserving of their award, and especially masters of their craft. So now is the time that we can show our support for the global reach and impact of IPHF and the preservation of the past, present, and future of photography worldwide. This is our Fund a Need portion and live auction portion of the event and program, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can register for Fund the Need as well as the live auction. I want you to go to www.ipHF2020.givesmart.com. That trailer has been running along during Art's presentation. Our goal tonight is $250,000. And if you register, you go to a registration page. We're going to show you that in a second, what the registration page looks like. Again, IPHF2020.givesmart.com. That's where you can register. Register to bid. Go right there to the Register Now button. Hit that button and create an account. Once you create an account with your name, your mobile number, your email, and your credit card information, you can donate in Fund a Need and you can bid on the live items. Now, while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you a little bit of background about IPHF. As Art said, the International Photography Hall of Fame is the only one in the world located right here in St. Louis. IPHF honors contributions in photography internationally, globally. IPHF has over 30,000 images from photographers and over 2,000 cameras in the collection. There are 110 inductees to the Hall of Fame, including the class of 2020. The power of photography is important to preserve, and that's really what we're all about. But we're all about more than that. We're all about preservation, we're all about education, and certainly we're about exhibitions. So relative to exhibitions, honoring significant contributors and sharing their important work to keep their photographic expertise alive with exhibitions. The Hall of Fame provides photographic education through virtual lectures and master workshops worldwide and for all ages. The Young Adult Program for Photography reaches a wide range of communities. This past year, with your help, IPHF was able to reach special needs young adults with autism, which has been key to the development of their communication skills. And lastly, storing the IPHF collection in a climate-controlled environment year-round is so important to preserve the images and the cameras. So again, it's exhibitions, it's education, and it's preservation. So in our Fund a Need, once you log on and once you get yourself registered, you can see our levels of Fund a Need when you register. What will your donation support at IPHF? Well, let me run through the numbers. At $25,000, you can fund an entire operations for IPHF for 2 weeks. And remember, your donations are 100% tax deductible. $20,000 will help fund the collections budget. $15,000 helps fund one exhibit, such as Masterworks, Best of the Best. That collection is currently at IPHF. At $10,000, you can pay for 10 seminars or 2 master workshops. $10,000 also helps pay for the storage of IPHF's collection of images and cameras. $5,000 pays scholarships for master photography students. It also pays for the facility housekeeping for 1 month. $2,500 will fund an assistant team leader, help fund seminars and classes, and fund 1 day of operations. $1,000 will cover utilities for a month, a half a day of total operations, and defray the cost of student exhibits and tours. $500 will help fund scholarships for underserved students to attend workshops and classes. And $250 will help fund scholarships for students. And last but not least, $100 will help fund scholarships and help defray the expenses of all community outreach programs that IPH develops each and every year. We've been around for 55 years and located right here in St. Louis, but our reach is global. Again, $25,000 all the way down to $100. Now, I have some great news. Tim Herman, on behalf of our presenting sponsor, Collins & Herman, has donated $25,000 in support of IPHF. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, Tim Herman, CEO of Collins & Herman. But at the same time, I'd like to get a match. Can I get somebody else to donate $25,000 or $10,000 or $5,000 or $1,500 all the way down to $100? You can donate any amount throughout the evening. We are going to take donations all the way up until late this evening and even into tomorrow and this week. Now, we have 10 photographs, all donated by HOF inductees, past and present. And we're going to sell those photographs right here in a live auction format. Now, let me explain how it's going to go. We're going to give each item 90 seconds, 1 minute and 30 seconds. So when the item comes up and I start to describe it, the clock will start to run. At which time we will close the bidding after 1 minute and 30 seconds if there are no more bids. But if I get a bid with 5 seconds to go, then I'm going to extend it another 5 seconds to get a counter bid. We want to raise as much money as we possibly can for IPHF. So, without any further ado, let's get underway. Our first item comes to us from our 2020 inductee, Carrie Mae Weem. Now, the current bid is $4,750. The title of this one is All the Boys 2017. Now, this is an offset lithograph. It's 27.5 inches by 37 7/8. It's printed with Segura Art Studio The edition is number 2 of 30, and it's signed on the back. The fair market value of this work of art, this photograph by Carrie Mae Weem, 2020 inductee to the Hall of Fame, is $12,000. Right now, my bid is $47.50. We've got 50 seconds to get it up. Can I get another bid? I'm at $47.50. Right now, I'd like to get another $500 and get it up to $52.50. Can we get another $500? We've got 36 seconds to go. Can I get another $500 and get it up to $52.50? We're coming down to 30 seconds to go. $47.50 is the number. I'd like to get it up to $52.50. Again, the fair market value is $12,000 from Carrie Mae Weem. What an awesome interview she gave us earlier this evening as relative to her induction into the Hall of Fame. $47.50 is the number. We're coming down to about 10 seconds. I'd like to get $52.50. We're coming down to 5 seconds. We're going to sell it at $47.50. If I were a dealer, I would take it in a heartbeat. Sold for $4,750. Thank you very, very much. Now let's move on to my second item. It comes to us from Duane Michals. The title is Young Men Dream in the Garden of the Dead with Flowers Growing from Their Head. This is done in 1995. It's a gelatin silver print with hand-applied text. It's 16 by 20, signed, numbered, and annotated recto in ink. It's edition number 7 of 25. The value of this work of art is $6,500. We've got 1 minute to move it up. The current bid is $2,500. I'd like to get $3,000. I'd love to get $3,000. You know, Duane Michals, one of the most prominent photographic innovators of the last century, widely known for his work with a series, multiple exposures, and text. His handwritten text adds a whole nother dimension to the images that he creates. It gives voice to Michals' musings. How about it? Every picture tells a story. I've got 35 seconds to go. We're at $2,500. I'd like to get to $3,000. $2,500 is the bid. 30 seconds to go. I'd like to get to $3,000. 25 seconds to go. I'd like to get to $3,000. $3,500 asking for $3,000. 20 seconds to go for IPHF. Every dollar in Fund a Need is 100% tax deductible. These items are for sale. 10 seconds to go. We're at $2,500. Can we get to $3,000? $2,500. 5 seconds to go. We're going to sell it at $2,500. Thank you very much, Duane Michals, 2020 Hall of Fame inductee. My third item comes to us from Harry Benson. The title of this is We Shall Overcome. Now, this is certainly a historic photograph. This is 17 by 22. It's an archival fine art photograph. It's numbered 10 of 35. The value is $6,000. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King is flanked by civil rights leaders John Lewis on the right, in the light raincoat, and Ralph Abernathy. And they are singing We Shall Overcome on the James Meredith March Against Fear on their way to Jackson, Mississippi in June of 1966. Note the helicopter in the overhead following the marches. Again, this is 1966. The value of this is $6,000. I'm at $3,000. Can I get it with $3,500? I'd like to see $3,500. We've got 35 seconds to go. Can I get $3,500? Can I get $3,500? $3,500 is what we're asking for. I'm at $3,000. Can we get $3,500? 25 seconds to go. Can we get $3,500? We need $3,500. 18 seconds to go. I'm currently at $3,000. Can I get $3,500? 12 seconds to go. Can I get $3,500? The value again of this historic photo is $6,000 for IPHF. There's a $4,000 bid. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and it's sold for $4,000. We're going to sell it at $4,000. Current bid $4,000. Thank you so very, very much. Now, my next photograph, you saw earlier Alfred Eisenstaedt's move to New York. He went to New York in pursuit of a better photographic career, and oh my God, did he make one. This is Andrew Wyeth, the famous American artist. This is Andrew Wyeth's bedroom in Remembrances in Cushing, Maine, 1965. It's 20 by 15. It's a silver gelatin print made circa 1990. Again, the value is $6,000 on this one. Alfred Eisenstaedt, thank you so very, very much for your contribution. This is the 2020 Hall of Fame inductee, Alfred Eisenstaedt. Way to go, Alfred. And how about a bid of $2,500? Can I get $3,000? My current bid is $2,500. I'd like to get to $3,000. We've got 43 seconds to bid. $2,500, asking for $3,000. $2,500, asking for $3,000. Again, Alfred Eisenstaedt was totally into 35 millimeter film, natural light, and he captured candid shots. 25 seconds to go. The bid is $2,500. Can I get to $3,000? 25 seconds to go. I need to get to $3,000 for IPHF. These photographs are priceless. How about it? 11 seconds to go, 10 seconds to go, $2,500 is the bid. Can I get to $3,000? 5 seconds to go. Can I get to $3,000? We're going to sell it at $2,500. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you, Alfred Eisenstaedt, for your donation. Again, number 5, lot number 5, this comes to us from Magnum Photos, one of our inductees for 2020. The photographer is Eve Arnold. And again, Magnum Photos, they've been providing photographic content to the international client base for over 70 years. This is Marilyn Monroe resting in Bement, Illinois, photographed by Eve Arnold. It's a silver gelatin print. It's 16 by 20. The value is $6,500. The current bid is $3,000. Can I get $3,500? You've got about 1 minute to bid. I've got $3,000. Can I get $3,500? $3,000. Can we get $3,500? 70 years Magnum Photos has been providing these photographs to charities, media, publishers, brands, and cultural institutions. They have just been inducted to the Hall of Fame. This is a phenomenal shot. My bid is $3,000. Can I get $3,500? We've got about 35 seconds to go. $3,000 is the bid. Can I get $3,500? $3,000, bidding $3,500. $3,000, bidding $3,500. You know, Magnum Photos has some of the most widely known images in the historical canon to be found within Magnum's archives. How about $3,500? We're down to 15 seconds. Can I get $3,500? I've got $3,000. Can I get $3,500? 10 seconds to go. $3,000, asking for $35,000, 5 seconds to go. $3,000 once, $3,000 twice, sold for $3,000. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now my next item is item number 6, and that comes to us from Steve McCurry, a 2019 Hall of Fame inductee. Steve McCurry's career in photography has seen him travel the world. This is called Man Walks in Alleyway, Havana, Cuba, 2010. It's a 16 by 20 Epson print. The value is $2,500, and guess what? The current bid is $2,600. So way to go, Stephen McCurry and the bidders bidding on this item. I'm asking for $2,700. I've got 26. Can I get 27? We've got 1 more minute. Can I get 2,700? 2,600 is the current bid. Can I get 27? 2,600, asking for 27. We're at 50 seconds to go. Steve McCurry doing a tremendous job. He chases vanishing traditional cultures and scenes from contemporary society. He's best known for his photograph of the Afghan girl. He's gone on to document the impact of war and conflict to humans and the environment. I'm at 2,600 with 30 seconds to go. How about 27? Can I get to 27? I've got 26 with 25 seconds to go. Can I get to 27? Now 20 seconds to go. I'd love to get to 2,700. 15 seconds to go for Stephen McCurry. Man Walks in Alleyway, 2010. 10 seconds, 7 seconds, 5 seconds. We're going to sell it for $2,600. Sold for $2,600. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now my next lot is item number 7, and this comes to us from a 2020 inductee, J. Maisel. The current bid is $1,400. J. Maisel, this is called The First Snowfall on Elizabeth Street in New York City, 1984. It's 13 by 19 inches. It's printed on Epson premium luster paper. It's signed bottom right-hand corner of the image, edition number 25. I'm at 1,400 with a minute to go. I'd like to get to 1,500. You know, J. Maisel achieved 5 Sports Illustrated swimsuit covers. He achieved the first 2 covers of New York Magazine. He was on the cover of he did the cover of Miles Davis' Kind of Blue. And J. Maisel has a tremendous history in New York. I've got 40 seconds to go. The bid is 1,400. Can I get to 15? I'm at 1,400. Can I get to 15? 30 seconds to go. Can I get to 1,500? I've got 14. Can I get 15? 15 for IPHF. 1,400 is the bid with 20 seconds to go. Can I get, there's 1,500. Thank you so very, very much. Now 16. How about 16? Get a counter bid to 1,600. You've got 10 seconds to do it. Can I get to 16? I'm at 1,500. Can I go to 16? 5 seconds to go. 1,500 once, 1,500 twice. Sold for $1,500. Thank you very, very much. My next lot comes to us from Lynsey Addario, a 2020 Hall of Fame inductee. This is called Operation Rock Avalanche in 2007. This is in the Korengal Valley, Afghanistan. The date is October 23rd, 2007. As you heard Lynsey earlier, she's an American photojournalist. She's been covering conflict and humanitarian crisis around the Middle East and Africa on assignment for the New York Times, National Geographic, and Time magazine for almost 20 years. This is a phenomenal photograph, and in the Army, in the Marines, in all the services, no soldier is left behind. And you can see these 4 soldiers are carrying a casualty out of that Korengal Valley. The bid right now is $1,100. I'd like to get to 12. We've got about 35 seconds to go to 1,200. Can I get to 1,200? For Lynsey Addario, this is Operation Rock Avalanche. I'm at 1,100. Can I get to 12? 25 seconds to bid. Can I get to 1,200? I'm at 1,200. How about 13? Can I get to 1,300? 1,300. Can I get to 1,300? I need to get to 1,300 for IPHF. I've got about 10 seconds to go. Can I get a $1,300 bid? 1,300 is the ask. 1,200 is the current bid. We're going to sell it once, twice, sold for $1,200. Thank you so very, very much. Now we've got 2 more items to go. My next one is lot number 9. This is Graham Nash photographing Neil Young. The bid right now is at $1,750, which is phenomenal. Graham Nash photographing Neil Young. It's a first silver print printed by Graham Nash. Now, in addition to his phenomenal music career with Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Graham Nash, he founded Nash Editions, a fine art digital print company that further adapted the Iris printer to print high-quality digital photography and art prints. He could do them as large as 3 feet by 4 feet. Nash Editions is recognized by the Smithsonian Institution for his role in the invention and accomplishments in fine arts and digital printing. Not only a phenomenal musician, Graham Nash, also a 2016 Hall of Fame inductee. It's 11 by 15. We're up to 1750. I've got 35 seconds to go. Can I get 1850? I'm at 1750. Can we get 1850? I'm coming up on 25 seconds to go. Neil Young, this is a photograph with a tremendous amount of depth, and all of these photographs are matted and framed. So how about it? Can I get to 1850? The current bid is 1750. I'm coming down to about 10 seconds. Can we get to 1850? We're going to be at 5 seconds pretty soon. We're at 5 seconds. 1750 is the number. Can I get to 1850? Once, twice, sold for $1,750. Thank you very much, Graham Nash, for donating that phenomenal photograph. Now, my last one is from Henry Diltz. Henry Diltz was the official photographer at Woodstock, the Woodstock Music Festival in 1969. He did more than 250 album covers. This one is The Doors, Morrison Hotel, album cover 1969. What I love is where it says rooms, $2.50. Henry Diltz, born in Kansas City, Missouri, shot more than 250 album covers in the 60s and 70s. Not only Neil Young, but Jimi Hendrix, The Monkees, David Cassidy, Steppenwolf, Jackson Browne, America, the Eagles. He shot them all. We're at $850. I've got 45 seconds to go. Can I get to $950? I'd like to get to $1,000. I'd like to get to $10,000. But right now I'm at $850. How about $950? Can I get another $100? 35 seconds to go. $850, asking for $950. Can we get to $950? I've got $850. I'm coming up on 25 seconds to go. Can I get to $950? $850 is the bid. We're coming up on 20 seconds. How about one more $100? Just hit donate, just hit bid, and you can get to $950. I'm coming up on 10 seconds to go. $850 is the current bid. Can I get to $950? Can I get to $950? 5 seconds to go. Going once, going twice. We're going to sell it for $850. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, we're going to try and do a quick total, but before we do that total, I'd like to introduce to you the current president and CFO of IPHF, and she is going to come up here and say thank you. Patricia Wente, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Fletcher. You always do a remarkable job, and we love you. And you have raised so many dollars in our community and beyond. You're truly appreciated for your deep commitment to IPHF. I'm pleased to report that IPHF has raised nearly its goal, but we're still falling a little short for this year's 2020 Induction and Awards event. IPHF will keep open the fund the need through the next week online. Thanks to all of you who support the IPHF tonight and throughout the year to make honoring inductees to be the, I guess we have the next slide coming up because we're honoring the inductees. I want to thank Pat Whitaker and Dick Miles, and I want to thank Switch for their help in celebrating this year. And right now we're, oh my gosh, we're at $233,220, and we want to thank all of you who have been giving. I want to thank Tim Herman from Collins and Herman for his $25,000 challenge. Let's keep the money coming in. We appreciate your support, and congratulations again to all the inductees. Good night and have a nice sleep wherever you are.